Hey you guys, what is up? Mr. Coach Shorts here. Today we are going to start looking at different modules in Python. Previously, we've just been doing videos on different programming concepts and that sort of deal, but today we get to move on to something a little bit more interesting, and in the future we'll start to move up more and more into different interesting modules, maybe get into some AI modules, that being TensorFlow and PyTorch, but for right now we're going to start looking at the datetime module. A lot of you are probably thinking, well, what's so useful about this? It's pretty basic module. There's not a whole going on. There's not a whole lot going on. What would I really use this for other than just displaying time to a user? Well, if you haven't realized it yet, uh, there are a lot of things that you may want to do on a schedule in Python or really in any programming language. And what is a great metric or a great indicator for that happen is the time of day. If you think about it, there are a lot of things that happen by the time in your normal everyday life. When you get up, when you go to school or go to work or what have you. There are a lot of, our whole life is really run by time. And timing is incredibly important for computers as well because it helps them to sequence exactly what needs to happen when. When you get into more advanced programs, you may have a function that needs to be called with the result of another function. Well, if it splits up things into different tasks, does what we call parallel processing, where it processes them both at the same time, well, that wouldn't work because that second function is waiting on the output of that first function. So you would need some timing in there to say, okay, once this one finishes, send it over to the next one. And all of this timing has to come together, especially if you're doing, say, big web servers, uh, the sort of thing like Facebook or even just regular websites. If you have user logins and that sort of thing. So there are a lot of things that you need time for and reliable, easy to use time. So in Python, that's what we rely on the datetime module for. So as you can see, I've imported it, datetime. It's part of what's called Python standard library. So whenever you originally installed uh, Python and everything, it installed it, this module as well. So you can just say import datetime. You don't have to do anything else. And then what I have done up here is I have said the time, that's the name of a variable, equal to datetime.datetime, so the module dot a class dot a function. So I have called that function, and then I have told it to print out different attributes. So if I just print the time, it gives me 2021, 08, 31, 20, 39, 27, and then of course, a decimal point of the seconds. You may be thinking, well, that's a little extreme. Back to the whole thing about, say, if you wanted something to run every 10th of a second or every 1,000th of a second or something. Python is not the most ideal language for that, but there are some uses in Python where you would use that. So this is what you would get if you just printed out the output of this function. So of course this is useful and it's formatted very easy for a computer to read, standard computer format really. But there are also some other things you can do here to print out human readable time. So what I have done, you can get even certain different attributes or using a method on this function. So I've said time.year, and it just simply returned me the year, 2021. And then I have started to use time.strftime. And basically what strftime does is it allows you to format this time in a human readable way. So if I said %b here, and that printed the full month, there is also a code for just printing the abbreviated month. That would be AUG. I did %y here, which rendered 2021. And this really is for making user interfaces, the strf time. You could also see if I get rid of the specifier here in the function and rerun my program, I get a error because I need something passed into this function. So if you go and look on, I believe We3Schools has a fantastic source for it, as well as the web page for this datetime module under Python. If you just say Google search or DuckDuckGo search for time module or datetime module in Python, you will find it. And there are loads of different codes that you can use to specify what you want. So especially back to my user system where before I wanted to do something every 10th of a second or something, I could use a code to specify, okay, I want just the number of seconds, and then I could store what that second was, see if and then check, tell the computer to wait for a second, check if if the time is the same. If it's not, then go ahead and load something new, etc. So there are a lot of different things you can do with this datetime module. So I hope you go on to use this in some of your Python programs. Hope you learned something today. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. for a brand new Code Shorts video. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see y'all later.